Every time I drive into my garage and get out of my car and I look at it and say, oh my God, that's a fabulous car. Put our foot on the gas pedal and then woo!
Welcome back. This is Derek. He is really into the Celica Supra. So Derek, could you tell me a little bit about how you got interested into these cars? And
well, in 1983, my brand new Honda Accord got stolen off the streets of San Francisco, never to be seen again. And my very good friend Frisky, who was in the automobile business, had suggested to me, well, why don't you try out this new car called a Supra? So, sure enough, I got in a Mark II Supra, and I said, oh my gosh, this is incredible. I let my girlfriend drive it, and she put her foot on the gas pedal and said, woo! This is un autazo, A-U-T-A-Z-O. Well, in Spanish, it means fast car. So that's why this car has always had the license plate with that name. But the history of this is that I tried out the P model, which was the sport model of the Mark II Supra. Stiffer suspension, limited swift differential, and so on, and good stuff. But I found it with a very harsh ride. And Frisky said, well, why don't you try the luxury model? So that was a softer ride and so on, and I made the mistake of getting the luxury model because it didn't have the limited slip differential, it didn't have the fender flares and all that stuff. But anyway, I ended up with this incredible car here in 1983, and my nephew, a service manager of Toyota for 29 years, took care of it until about 2000. And in 2002, I went to a Supras in Vegas meet with the car, with its stock 150 horsepower blah engine, and met a wonderful Vietnamese guy there named John Nguyen from Anaheim, and he took me for a ride in his Supra, and it was like going on steroids. I said, oh my God, what have you done to this car? So he lifted up the hood, and sure enough, there was a 7 MGT next generation turbo motor in his car. I said, I gotta have it. I gotta have it. Unfortunately, in those days, I didn't think I had any money. So instead of building everything brand new from up, with this part and that part and so on. So long story short, this motor has been through about 6 iterations of disasters. Till finally, just a year and a half ago, I was able to find a brand new short block, still in the factory box, probably the only one in America.
yeah,
And had the motor rebuilt with that. And whereas in the old days I was boosting up to about 15 PSI and so on, where stock was about 9, I said, well, enough speed greed, trying to just get the car running well and so on. It's now got 566,000 miles on the body.
wow.
But you have to remember that everything that moves has been replaced, and many things that don't move have been replaced.
Sure.
But it's in the garage all those 40 years, and so I take care of it. And every time I drive into my garage and get out of my car and I look at it and say, oh my God, that's a fabulous car.
Saw that article that you had, and that's wonderful. How did that come about, and what's changed on the vehicle since that came out?
Going to the Japanese classic car shows in Long Beach for years, a guy comes from Arizona named Jeff Koch. He's a writer for Hemings Classic Car magazine, and I had met him there and through another friend, and he took all these pictures in this magazine. They're 10 years old.
Oh,
this
wow.
magazine was published in August 2024, but the pictures really haven't, the car hasn't really changed that much. And so about a year ago, he got a hold of me and said, well, how would you like to have an article in the Hemings? I'm going to ask my editor if he'll agree to do that.
Wow.
And he did. And then to my amazement, he put together this 5.5-page spread in here with a mention on the front page of 500,000 miles Toyota Celica Supra. And I was just absolutely blown away and thrilled about that. So, except that I explained, when I used to be trying to get 300 horsepower out of
Sure.
it now I'm only getting 215 horsepower out of it. Part of this getting away from speed greed, which at age 93, yeah, maybe it's time, you know.
How did you get into the second Toyota here, and what was the difference or the thought process between wanting the second one?
I didn't really want a second one, but about 14 years ago, I grew up in Santa Barbara, California. I'd go to Santa Barbara to see family, and I'd see this red Supra parked on the main drag from time to time, and I said, can't see the owner, where's the guy? It's beautiful. And I said, I'd sure like to have something like that. That this 1985 Supra, original owner was a woman from Los Angeles who had moved to Santa Barbara, my hometown, and had only about 112,000 miles on the car. Well, little did I know that she had sold the car to a guy in Fresno who was part of my Mark II Super group. So the next thing I know, this guy shows up on one of my Toyota runs with this car, totally bastardized. Got a hold of the guy and said, I gotta have this. And went down and bought it from this guy for $6,000. And then it cost me $3,000 to try and put it back into original shape again. And then it became sort of my show car. And had this very low mileage and was really, it's automatic. I have to say things about automatic because I have learned now at an older age that automatic's not so bad. Transmission that Toyota put in this model car, automatic, it's like Formula One shifting. You just push a button and boom, it's down in the next gear. You pull the thing back a little bit. So it's just as much fun to drive as a stick shift as far as I'm concerned. Ah. So one thing I wanted to mention about the 83 Supra, L model, these wheels are very unusual because the standard P-type Mark II Supra and the L model had 14-inch wheels. But for some reason, in 1985, Toyota decided that for the L model, they'd put a 15-inch wheel on. We have no idea why. But the wheels on the L model were ugly as sin. And so my good friend Supra Steve said, you know, I saw on eBay there are these wheels available out in Antioch. Sure enough, I went right out there and bought them. Just the unusual aspect that this got a 15-inch wheel instead of a 14-inch wheel.
Thank you guys so much for watching. If you want more stories like Derek's here, be sure to leave us a like, leave us a comment, subscribe. We'll be trying to post more like this. And if you know anyone who would like to be interviewed or who has a cool story, please let us know. We'd love to interview them. And we will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.